Andrea McGinty, welcome to Uncivilized Podcast. You're coming on to talk about one of my favorite topics of all time. I find dating and relationships absolutely fascinating. And so, for the audience who may not know you or may not know much about you, other than what I've just given away, would you mind sharing a little bit about you and the book that you have coming out?
Sure. I'm Andrea McGinty, and I never imagined I would become a dating expert in my life. Here's an accounting and finance major, and look where I ended up. Never used it. Anyway, how this all started was I was in my early 20s. It was 1990. I was getting married, and 2 days before the wedding, my fiance called it off.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
I was like, oh, after the tears and you pick yourself up, dust yourself off. And then what happens? It's 1990. There's no Google. There's no online dating.
Right.
What is there? There's bars in Chicago. There's your friends who have no idea what they're doing.
Right.
And, at least like when I was in college, two of my college roommates I fixed up, and they're still married today. So, I always kind of had this thing where, I was good at this. So anyway, fast forward, a few months, I'm going on these dates. I'm like, oh. And then I have this idea. I'm like, you know what? What about if, like how executive recruiters call you about jobs and, opportunities in your career and stuff. What if there was one that called you just about dating? And, they had the not perfect, but, really good candidates for you. And I looked around and there was nothing like that. And I'm like, I'm going to start it. And I called it It's Just Lunch because I never did any dates after a while over dinner because it was like, oh my gosh, we both know we don't like each other. There's no chemistry here. Right. This is going nowhere. Right. And I would do my dates over lunch or over a drink after work. And I started It's Just Lunch in Chicago, matchmaking, set people up on dates. And it took off. And we fast forward from 1990 to 2010. I have 110 locations worldwide. Oh. And I get two offers. One from Match.com and one from private equity. And at that point, like my kids were pretty young and I'm like, hey, I see the writing on the wall with online. Yeah. It's starting to get better and better online dating. In the year 2000, it was a mess. There were scammers there. Mm-hmm. It was just, nobody knew what they were doing, including the people running, the dating sites and the dating apps. So, but by 2010, it had started to settle down and some good sites were emerging and, where they were verifying people and there's more credibility, blah, blah, blah. So I decided to sell. So, for 2 years, going on vacation, with kids, and we're all over the world and we're living in different places. And then my brother calls me. I have 6 younger brothers and sisters.
Oh, wow. You're the oldest.
Pardon me?
You're the oldest.
Yeah, okay. I'm the oldest. And my brother called me and he's like, I'm doing online dating. He had just gotten divorced too. And he's good looking and he's a CFO of a good company, a well-known company. And he's like, I'm doing online dating and it just, excuse me, sucks.
You can say whatever you want.
Okay. Yeah. So he's like, the women are, and so I'm like, Jim, give me your password and your login. And I go online and okay, I heard there's a lot of men that listen to this show, so I hope you're listening to this part.
Yeah.
The photos you guys put up are awful. That's why you're not getting dates. That's one of the major reasons your dates aren't good. A picture of you in the mirror in your bathroom or in your car or holding a fish.
Holding the fish. Guys, just put the fish down. Yeah, put the fish down.
We don't care about that. We're like, what?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I look at my brother's photos. I'm like, I change them all out. I rewrite his profile. And a few weeks later, he's like, hey, I'm going on really good dates.
Oh, amazing.
I'm going, this is great. He lives in California. He's like, this is great. So anyway, here's my next thing, 33,000dates.com. I start that and it's all word of mouth because of what happened to my brother. That's what started the whole thing 2 years after I sold It's Just Lunch. And 33,000 dates, the name came from, that's how many dates at that point in my life I had set up. So I had
Whoa.
set up
Okay.
so that was over like a 24-year span. I had
Yeah.
set up over 33,000 dates, and I had over 10,200 marriages too.
Wow.
So, I love what I do. I thought it was like, this is way better than finance, this
Yes,
is
you're
way
right.
better than Wall Street, right? And so 33,000 dates just took off, and with the whole premise behind it being people didn't know what to do with online dating
Mm,
because now our like people that were using it. Okay, so my kids,
mm,
like in their early 20s, oh, they're like, oh yeah, mom, we're on Tinder, we're on Hinge, we're on
mm.
Bumble, like they don't care, like they
Yeah.
gave up all their privacy. All those kids
Right.
did, like all,
Right.
they don't care. But you run into it once we hit like, the 38,
Mm,
45, 50-year-old crowd where suddenly maybe they got married in their 20s or
mhm,
they're in a really long relationship. It ends and they're like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I
mm.
do? Like, I don't even know what site. And at this point, right now, today, there's over 1,400 dating platforms out there.
No
So,
kidding.
dating apps, how do you pick the right one?
Yeah.
And for you guys, you have to be careful. Well, the women have to be careful too. But you have to be careful that you don't end up on a site that's super male centric. Like
Mm,
if you went on Match.com, it's about 75 to 80% men.
oh,
You don't
wow.
want to be there.
Right.
Now, if you went on Bumble, it's the opposite.
Okay.
It's like you're like a kid in a candy store,
Mm,
guys. That's where the women are, and some really high quality women. So anyway, but there's 1,400 of them. And so
yeah.
people would pick the wrong one,
Mm,
stay on it for, if they even lasted a week, give up, and be like, online dating sucks. I
yeah.
hate it. Everybody who calls me, like to use my coaching services, they're like, I can't even believe I'm calling you because I know this
Mhm,
won't work or it's awful or
mhm.
like nobody ever messages me back or the men's photos are terrible. The women, all the good women are married. There's nobody left out there. I mean, the complaints I hear, and I'm always like, wrong, 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 wrong. They are out there, but you have to know where to look
Yeah.
and how to do this whole thing. So that's how my whole life got started, and I love it because I meet all different kinds of people. It's not like I'm a lawyer and I work with lawyers all day long.
Sure.
It's like every walk of life.
Yeah.
From I've got like one NFL coach right now
Right.
to I've got a guy who he works in construction,
Mhm.
all across the board, everything in between. And it's fascinating to hear their life story. And then when they end up meeting somebody, and I can look across like my office right now and I've got like a bulletin board. Christmas wasn't too long ago. Like I still have Christmas cards up from people that like, here's us,
Yeah, yeah.
we went skiing, or here's where we got engaged. And so it's I help people and I like doing it. And of course I'm a business person,
Sure.
so it's like passion and profit. Those two things work for me. And people need help because they need help from the very beginning, choosing the right
Mm,
website,
mhm.
photos.
Okay.
Men, I would say 80% of my men I send to a professional photographer.
No kidding.
And I don't mean
Doesn't make it
for
look
like,
like fabricated?
yeah, yeah, I don't mean like LinkedIn-ish photos or
Sure, sure.
studio photos, but like of them swinging a golf club or
Gotcha.
a tennis racket or skiing or
Yeah.
whatever, like action photos, like because that's what really speaks to people. You're not
Mm,
you just sitting there,
right, right.
in a fancy studio with a swirly wall behind you. So, I help them vet their photos and I write their profiles so that they're not like putting people to sleep because
Sure.
men do one of two things. They either write nothing,
Right.
so nobody responds, or they just write paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. And like nobody wants to read this. It's like leave a little for the date,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
to get to know you. So, I write their profile, vet their photos, and then where people really, I think, you choose the site, very important. And how I choose the site. So, site selection for me is data driven. So,
Mm.
I use Pew, Statista, Nielsen, and I forgot one of them. Oh, that's okay. But I use their research because they will give me the demographic in your area, and then I plug in all the factors like what you're looking for, level of education, maybe level of income, interest, all those types of things. And it'll also give me back what that app or site looks like in terms of, the ratio of men to women, women to men, so that I'm able to make a very educated guess at what's going to be a good place for you. And then the next thing.
Wait. I gotta. We're gonna. What I would love before we move forward. I love your passion. I would love for the audience to hear before we go to the dating a little bit more about because I'm curious. Why were you so good at this? Like, why was a woman who was drawn to finance and accounting like a love doc? Like, you're a love wizard. What do you think it was about you that I mean, I've had so many people on this show that are like, this is my sixth idea. I had this business and that business and they all failed and this failed and this failed. And then finally one day I woke up and I wrote on a napkin, maybe I'm a writer and now they're a best-selling author. But like, why do you think, Andrea, for you that like you got this?
Okay, I think it came from a couple of different places. I like to listen. I like to listen to people, and I like to hear their stories. And I find it really fascinating because it's not the corporate world where you're not allowed to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Like I can ask anything when I'm doing like my Zoom call interviews with my clients. I get to ask them about their love life. I get to ask them anything I want to. And I'm genuinely interested in them. And then I think there's a part of me too. I want to make people happy.
Okay.
So there's that, or maybe better is I want to help people. So it's probably a little bit of that happy and help thing. Yeah. And then, like, I don't know. I just had it in me because, big Irish Catholic family. We had to go to church every Sunday. I would be sitting next to one of my brothers or sisters, and I would point to like a couple, like that was probably in their 20s, and I was probably like 12 or 13. I'd be like, "Look at those two. They don't even go together." And my sister would be like, "Shh, shh," and my mom was always like, "Be quiet. They might hurt you." Or then as my kids got older, we go to the movies. I would do the same thing. I'd be like, "I don't get it," or that couple. I could totally see them together. Or we'll be sitting in an airport and I would do this, as a teenager. I would just and then you feel out things. And a lot of times my matches that I end up doing or the people, on paper, it doesn't seem like they have a lot in common. Right. But that's okay because you don't want somebody who's a mirror image of yourself. Yeah. Because it's boring, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be really boring. What you want is you've got to have common values. You've got to have chemistry. Mm-hmm. And if I could predict chemistry, I would be like a billionaire. Yeah, of course. And then the last one is, communication skills. But those common values and chemistry, and the last one I said communication, those are really, really important. And, I try to see beyond, I have this one guy. He's an engineer, and the only thing he does at night, he has this whole garage as a workshop, and he just works on inventions till 2 or 3 in the morning. Excuse me. He has no social life, does nothing except hang out in his garage. He lives in Atlanta, and I'm trying to get another interest out of him. He does, I go, "Oh, do you listen to music while you're inventing?" No. Do you follow the Braves? Mm-mm. Yeah. And so I'm listening, and then this woman, as we're online together one day, we're going through her stuff, and she has I forgot what she did professionally, but at night, she's in her garage with her pottery wheel, and that's all she does is pottery. They both have super strong interests, not in the same field at all. I mean, she's very creative. He's very analytical, engineering. Yeah. And I just thought I could see these two together, because they're like a yin yang thingy, I don't know how I do it, but I like doing it. I don't really ever think about how I'm doing it. Okay. I have one more question for you before we dive back into, I do want people listening to this to hear about dating, but I'm always curious about the guest. What separated you?
about the guest, about you. What separated you business wise? Like, did you have a business background? Did you just have a feel for business? Did you have mentors? Did you have people guiding you? Because if a PE firm or match is coming in to buy you, you've done something really well. And so I'm curious about just a little bit about your business journey, and then we'll get back to
Yeah,
dating.
we were, I started the company with $3,000.
I love it.
um,
Good for
and,
you.
and I guess I definitely have an entrepreneurial
Yeah,
streak. I hate to say that word 'cause it's so overused. Like everyone's an
sure,
entrepreneur,
sure.
it's like, get over yourself. Um, so, you know, so I grew up with a dad that didn't go to college, but worked his way up from stock boy to the
Mm,
president of a major department store chain.
okay.
So I was in the upper half of the family that was very, very middle class. The younger kids grew up with a lot more money. And my dad, from the time I was like 6 or 7, would like take me to work with him on Saturdays. And before the store
Mm,
opened, the big downtown store. And
got you.
he would give me a job in one of the departments. It'd be like
Yeah,
7 in the morning, the store didn't open until 10. Like maybe it's like stacking Christmas card boxes.
yeah.
Or, he just gave me something to do and he went about his day. And even like, growing up in my family, family dinners, it wasn't like it is today where the kids talk a lot at dinner.
Mm,
It was more my mom and dad talking. And I
okay.
would always be listening to my dad. He'd be like, oh, we had a board of directors meeting. We're firing so
Wow.
and so. This is what happened. And
Yeah.
none of the other kids are listening. They're like pinching each other or throwing lima beans under the table. It's like wild at my house. And I was always like really fascinated by business too. So
Yeah.
in addition, I think I'm very competitive too. I
Gotcha.
like to win. I
Yeah.
played a lot of sports.
Okay.
And, I always wanted to be MVP
Gotcha.
of anything I did. So, my dad really fostered sports in all of us kids without it being like pressure. It
Sure.
was just, we played with the seasons. So it was, I played baseball, I played Little League, I played basketball, I played volleyball. And, that gave you a little bit of a competitive drive. And like with Girl Scout cookies, I sold the most.
Hell yeah.
I was the first kid off the school bus with those cookies and, going door to door. It's not like now where like a mom stands with the kids at the grocery store and the
Yeah.
mom's selling the, cookies. We
Sure.
had to sell the cookies,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Different times.
so,
Different times.
so, okay. So, I
Okay.
started the company back to, started
Okay.
the company with $3,000,
Yeah.
no money. Those first years, I mean, I was almost bankrupt every
Mm-hmm.
week.
Yeah, I get that.
Because I took the money and Chicago was a good market for, the 20 something and the 30 somethings. I thought like, oh, Chicago is just, everyone's going to want to join my service. I mean, I wrote a business plan. I mean, that's how I thought it was. I mean, that's not like ego. I was just like, such a great idea. Everyone's going to be like, how am I going to, do this with all of Chicago?
Yeah.
Ha. Yeah, right. So I, I spent the money on little shared office space
Mm.
and 20,000 brochures. But
Whoa.
I had no money to mail the brochures.
Yeah.
So I was like, what am I going to do with all these brochures?
Yeah.
So I talked a couple of my girlfriends into, it was like a Saturday night, like 2 in the morning. And we're walking around like Gold Coast and Lincoln Park neighborhoods, which were really yuppie, 20s and 30s. And we're going to put the brochures under people's, brownstones or apartment buildings and stuff. And that's what we're doing until I see the Chicago Tribune guy delivering papers, and they're in this nice plastic bag
Mm.
that says like something on the outside, somebody promoting. And I'm like, hey, I've got a better idea. Let's follow the Tribune guy. Let's put our brochures in his papers. And then it'll look like we have a lot of money. We're really credible. So,
I love
yeah.
guerrilla marketing. Good for you.
So, and I didn't even think twice, like
Yeah.
about it because I was like, one of my friends said they could sue us. I'm like, go ahead. I don't have any money. No, I don't have anything.
Right.
So anyway, that got me my first client, and she was a PR person. And this is again 1990. I didn't even know what a PR person was. I mean, everyone knows what a PR person is now.
Sure.
And she called me that Sunday morning and said, I got your brochure. Why don't I trade you? She goes, I'm single. She was like 30 something. I'm single. Why don't I trade you dates and I'll get you PR? I'm like, what's PR?
Yeah.
And she's like, articles. And I'm like, well, I can't afford those. I was thinking ads.
Yeah.
I didn't know the difference between ads and editorial at that point. So she goes, no. People write about you. And I'm like, okay. So one of the first things she gets me is like a little Crane Chicago business, which is nice. But that led to Chicago Magazine with like a 3-page spread that led to the Wall Street Journal front page, like that little quirky blurb they do at the bottom of the journal each day. They did a thing, and then People Magazine picked it up, and then it was off to the races. I was like, PR is magical, right? But at the same time, I don't know. Do you want to hear more of the businessy part or no?
Sure. Then we'll dive in. Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay.
I'm sure the audience will too.
Okay. So again, just because we're getting the PR does not mean we're profitable. It means I'm paying the rent and I can hire, 2 employees. So yay. And I can pay but then one day I'm at the grocery store and I'm standing in line and I'm clutching my coupons. Like I'm trying to hide them. Like, who uses coupons? Like, this is so embarrassing. And I'm thinking about how am I going to pay the rent next week? And this girl taps me on the shoulder. She's behind me in line, and I still remember her name. Her name's Cheryl Trieger. Wherever you are, Cheryl. She tapped me on the shoulder and she goes, hey, I had met her the previous week at a party. She goes, hey, how's your dating thing going? And I go, oh, it's going great. You know what? I have this one couple. I think they're going to get married. His name's Jack and her name's Roberta. And I start going on and on about him and she's listening. Okay. She calls me that afternoon and I'm like, I don't know this girl that well. I mean, she's really nice, but she goes, I didn't tell you this, but I'm a producer at CNN. And we want to follow a couple out to lunch and do a feature story on you tomorrow.
Wow.
Tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, this is great. This is great. Because who wants to hear somebody say, I'm scared I can't pay my rent next week. When I hear people talking about their businesses sometimes and they're telling you this stuff and then they're telling you to tell your friends about them, to use them when they're almost bankrupt. I'm like, what? What's wrong with them? So anyway, it got better and better and better. And, we were at about 95 million when we sold.
Wow. Good for you. I just love success stories. And I love people who take an idea and then just run with it despite anything else that's going on. And I've had Uncivilized for about 7 years now and know the plight of like, okay, we're down to our last $1,000. What are we going to do? And just keep fighting and just keep staying in the game. So I appreciate you.
Yep.
Okay. Let's use a fantastic. So someone's listening to this. They're 45 years old. It's a guy. He's just gotten divorced. He makes 6 figures, is in relatively good shape, doesn't have a fish photo, but is about to throw in the towel on dating. What does he do?
Okay. What he needs to do, he could do one of 2 things. Okay, the first thing I would tell him to do is to buy my book.
Which one?
This one.
Second act.
The second act. Because you know what? People in their 30s buy this book. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm expensive to hire.
Gotcha.
As a dating coach. I mean, I'm not that expensive, but I'm more than $30 for the book costs, right?
Right.
So the book, here's what I like about the book. It explains it's 400 pages. It's like a manual. It explains dating A to Z. And what's in it, there's like 15 worksheets in it. And the first worksheet is like, okay, let's use that 45-year-old guy ready to throw in the towel. The first worksheet is, where's your head at? And asks a bunch of questions like how you're feeling, what you're doing, just mindset, because mindset is so important in this whole thing. And then along with that worksheet comes a QR code in the book. So, you click on the QR code and it's me talking for 5 minutes about what to be thinking about when you're filling out that worksheet. And then it's what it's going to do for this 45-year-old man it's going to give them a lot of hope, and it's going to take them through a lot of different stories that really happened, where people were about to give up. And then it's also going to take them through, worksheets about, what's your branding like? Because we all have branding. If we're on Insta or TikTok or anything, LinkedIn, we have a brand, whether or not we're thinking about it that way or not. So same thing with online dating. You need to have a brand. So if there's a brand sheet to fill out, like, how do I want to portray myself? What do I want to look like as a brand? And then taking it all the way to the end of the book, to the 15th worksheet, it's a business plan for your love life. And when I tell people that, they're like, that's so unromantic. And I'm like, you know what? Tough. It is. But you know what? You need to fill that out, because we've got to figure out exactly what you're looking for, what you don't like. And people know what they don't like. He's 45. He's had enough experience dating. For sure, he knows what he doesn't like, in a woman. Things you may be looking for, what you're attracted to. And, when I get a male client, he's like, oh, I'm attracted to everything, every ethnicity, every this, every, blah, blah, blah. And then after 2 coaching calls, he's like, I should have told you I'm really only attracted to brunettes that are Caucasian.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I'm not woke. This is about your love life. This is about what, we all have things we're attracted to. So, we're not trying to just be with the woke crowd.
Right.
We've got to say what we really want. And so that gets you to that point. And I think it gives you a lot of hope once you get online. And it also gives you the strategy online, because I'm not like a mess around kind of person. I'm strategic. I'm business-like. Even with my coaching clients, it's like, okay, guys, you have me for an hour on the phone. This is what we're going to do. Where most people fail, and maybe where your friend, the 45-year-old we're talking about, he's failing, is probably, well, it could be his photos, but it also could be his messaging skills. Okay. They could be, because men send some of the stupidest messages.
What is it? What are 3 stupid messages?
Hi, beautiful.
Okay.
Like, what? What does that mean? How's your weekend?
Okay.
That's your whole message?
Yeah.
Like, no, you've got to say like 3 sentences, and they have to be unique. And if they're even a little quirky, that's fine. All you need to do, guys, look at our photos online. We'll be doing stuff in our photos. If you don't feel like reading our profiles, look at our photos and see, I don't know, I've got a pickleball paddle in my hand and I'm holding a trophy. Yeah. Hey, Andrea, you must be a really good pickleball player. I'm a tennis player thinking of switching over. Should I? Yeah. A message like that, where like you identified something and you didn't have to think about it for a half an hour what this message was going to be. Right. Whoa, by book. So I forgot what the question was.
It was like, what are 3 challenging messages that guys say? Let's just troubleshoot, Andrew. Like, okay, what are we? Let's go like major red flags beyond something that's just wildly inappropriate or overly sexual or just mean or just hey. I remember dating and getting messages even from women that just said hey, and I was like, delete. If that's all you have to say, I'm not interested in carrying this entire conversation. But what are some like very simple holes that guys fall in when they are online dating? Or even guys, let's make this more specific too, over 40, what changes about the dating scenario or paradigm that is different from when they were dating in their 20s and 30s?
They're out of practice. That's one thing. They are out of practice. Because when they were dating, maybe they had a relationship, maybe they're divorced. And now they're out there in the wild again, so it's kind of like, okay, you need to go on probably about 4 practice dates. And that's okay if the woman's not, a 10 out of 10. I mean, how many 10 out of 10s are there? Right. There's going to be a lot of 7s and 8s, but, go on about 4 practice dates and do it for a drink after work, or a drink on a Saturday or Sunday around 4 in the afternoon,
Okay.
because nobody thinks it's a Saturday night date then.
Right.
It's a drink and maybe an appetizer.
Sure.
And it's just a relaxed way to meet somebody,
Hmm.
over a drink or over lunch. Don't do coffee. It's a cop out. It's not a
Okay.
date.
What's the difference
Oh,
between
you're
coffee and a drink?
what?
What's the difference between coffee and a drink?
Well, a drink you're going to get dressed up for,
Okay.
or you're going to look nice at least for. You're not. Women aren't going to show up in their Lululemons for
Okay.
a drink date. For
Okay.
a coffee date, you bet they are.
Okay.
You're going to probably, instead of having a pair of shorts on, maybe you'll have pants on and a polo shirt. Now, where you live in Boulder, or if you live in like a cool area,
Yeah.
um, the only time I'd say coffee would be like, hey, let's grab coffee at X and go hike Chautauqua,
Okay.
because right there's tons of people out. You're
Yeah.
safe.
You're
You're
safe.
safe.
Yeah.
I know you're safe there. So
I want to. I
if
want to
it's
ask one more question about the drink coffee idea because a lot of my audience, myself included, don't drink alcohol.
oh, I don't
What's a
either.
what's a
Yeah.
oh amazing. Would it be awkward for someone who doesn't drink to ask a woman to go get a drink and then show up and be like, by the way, I'd love a spritzer?
Well, don't get a spritzer. That is like
Made that
no.
up. A fancy kombucha?
You mean when you're going for a drink?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Like what do people drink who don't drink?
oh my
If they
God.
go for a drink.
There's everything in the bars now. I mean, the mocktail
Okay.
page is crazy, but I don't particularly, they're too sugary for me. There's
Sure.
all kinds of beer that,
That's
have
true.
no alcohol in it. Now the wines are out like crazy in the bars that are de-alcoholized, that
No
are
kidding.
delicious.
Are they really?
Everything from Pinot Noirs to Chardonnays to Sauvignon Blancs, all kinds of
Amazing.
stuff. Yeah, you could get a Coke too,
Okay.
but don't get a glass of water.
Okay.
Like that to me is like, this isn't really a date. And as a woman, I would feel really stupid as I'm having a margarita and you're drinking
Mm,
water.
okay.
Like, you didn't want to be here
Oh,
and you can't wait to get out of here, fast.
okay.
By the way, there's lots of people who don't drink.
Yeah.
And it's not because of problems. It's like we have this whole sober
Hmm.
curiosity revolution going on in
100%.
our age group,
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the like 30s, 40s, 50s. It's
Yeah.
like huge.
I actually thought it was because I quit drinking at 39 when I got divorced and thought it was going to be a big issue in dating. And never, maybe once in my entire dating career, did a woman say, like, well, then what are we going to do if you don't drink? But every other date I went on, uh, virtually, I would say like 7 out of 10, like, it's really lovely to have a conversation with someone who's also not shit faced right now because the last 3 dates they'd gone on, the dude had either shown up a little bit tipsy or had gotten drunk on the date. And so I thought it would be a negative and it never was, except for that one
No,
woman.
no, I have not found it to be a negative or anyone complaining about it.
Yeah.
Or when I'm working with clients and we're both online together and I'm doing coaching calls and we see somebody who's checked off no, that they don't
Yeah.
drink,
Yeah.
it doesn't stop people at
Yeah.
all. It's kind of like, oh, they don't drink, who cares?
Yeah. Very much
The
so.
20 somethings still drink, the
Sure.
30 somethings still drink. It's like there's a certain cutoff where, I mean, my husband drinks,
Okay.
and we still go to bars and
Yeah.
have fun, and I don't think it's a big deal
Yeah.
unless you make it a big deal with water.
Uh,
Yeah,
what is it about water?
it's
Too
like
vanilla?
free. It's free, and it's like you could just walk out of the date like and not have to pay anything. It's like, I don't know.
Just
Hey,
no investment. It's no emotional investment
no
as opposed
investment.
to a
Like,
mocktail.
yeah, like, could you see asking her in a message, hey, you want to go out for a glass of water?
It kind of reminds me of Goodwill Hunting, though, where he's like, we could just swap caramel. Like, it doesn't matter what the substance is. It's about the conversation and the. But I get what you're saying. I get
Right.
what you're saying. Like, don't be boring, fellas. Don't drink fucking water. Drink something more interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
or
I'm gonna name
get
this
a
podcast.
yeah, get there first, and if you're embarrassed about it, get there first and get a Pellegrino and have a
Yeah,
lime
yeah.
in it,
Okay, okay,
and
okay.
then ask her, what would you like to drink?
Right, right,
She's
right.
not going to analyze your drink.
Where were we in this conversation? Where were we on his date? So
We were talking about, like, okay, so like this 45-year-old
yeah,
guy,
yeah, yeah.
what he could do. here's
Professional
the other,
photos?
pardon me?
Does he need professional photos?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, just do it.
Yeah.
There's this company that I really like. It's called Snapper,
Okay.
Snappr, no E in it, no
Okay.
E in it. And it's all over the country. It's like $200 and they do a 2-hour photo shoot for you and they know it's for online dating.
No
So
kidding.
these photographers are really good with like, fun poses,
Yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
backgrounds, nothing businessy.
Okay.
And then I would say to your friend too, this our 45-year-old guy here, I would say also go on my website, 33,000dates.com, and there's a quiz. It's free.
Okay.
Take the quiz. It has 16 questions, and you'll be up against people in your age group, and it will basically tell you how you stack up to other people who are dating and are successful.
It ranks
So
you
it gives you a percentage.
of like your attractability or your desirability. Like, what is it giving you a metric on?
It's giving you a metric on a bunch of things. It's everything from how you're going about it
No
to the site
kidding.
you're on to the age group you're dating to there's 16 questions and it just really shows like okay, are you sending more than 2 texts each? If you're sending more than that, you're doing something wrong. By now you should be like making plans to go on a date,
Gotcha.
instead of wasting that time. Or people who are like want to talk on the phone. I mean, who wants to talk on the phone? I don't even get that.
That used to be a requirement when I was dating because I did get on the phone with a couple of women and went, wow, you can text like crazy and you have zero personality on the phone. I'm so glad we skipped coffee. And
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing: when you talk on the phone, one of two things can happen.
okay,
One, you have this great conversation and you're
sure.
really excited, and then like my female clients will call 3 of their friends and be like, before they've even gone on the date, I think I met the man of my dreams. He is like amazing, and they've built him up so high.
Yeah.
And a guy could do the same thing, like, oh my god, I'm so psyched for this date, like she's amazing, or the conversation's totally flat because maybe she's a little bit shy on the phone and
Sure.
she could have been perfect for you.
Ooh.
And if she lives nearby, and there was enough in the profile and you found her attractive,
Yeah.
meet her. It's an hour.
Okay.
Like don't do the chat. Don't do the chat on the phone.
And so I also have to ask, is that the same with FaceTime? Because I know some people are squirrely about hopping on FaceTime and other people do it so they don't get catfished.
Yeah, catfishing's kind of out.
Is it?
Especially if you're on one of the good apps.
Yeah.
That's pretty much out. And you know what you're going to start seeing a lot more of too, that's going to eliminate that catfishing thing, is you're going to start seeing scoring going on with a lot of these dating apps, not about you or what you look like, but about whether or not you showed up on a date or you looked like, and people, kind of like Uber does.
You're going to get a score from your dates?
Yes, but not like based on your height or your looks or anything like
Just
that.
did you show up? Did
he show up? Was he polite?
Wow.
Just like how you rate Uber. It's the exact same criteria. You're not saying, was your Uber driver good looking?
Sure.
Who cares?
Right.
Yeah. It's gonna be. You're gonna see more and more of that going on too in the dating world.
Wow. That okay. I'll just run. This isn't my world. I'm not dating, but I would be suspect of, like, if we showed up and there just wasn't chemistry and someone got let down, would they then turn around and say, didn't show up, wasn't hygienic, was kind of a dick, just because there was rejection,
I don't know. It's still so new. I hope not. I don't think they're allowed to write in stuff. I think it's just like checking a box. Was he on time?
Okay.
Did he look like his pictures?
Yeah, that's
because somebody's picture from 10 years ago and now he weighs 25 pounds more, Just like you don't want to meet a woman who looks great in this shot of her in a sundress, and then she shows up and she's 40 pounds heavier. Right. Not fair, right?
Not fair.
Not
False
fair.
advertising.
I agree.
For everybody. Yeah.
Nope.
Okay, so he's got professional pictures. He's going to meet her for a date. He's not messaging you said more than 2 or 3 times. Is your protocol like match, connect, set up, date?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then each week when I talk to my clients, it's um, feedback. Okay, how'd the date go? Were you
Yeah.
attracted to her? Because that helps me then, since we do these weekly coaching calls, especially after they've had like maybe 3 or 4 dates, to
Mhm.
get like his look down.
Oh,
He's
okay.
attracted to this
Sure.
type, because I can still look at those 4 women he went out with
Yeah.
and say, okay, I'm starting to get, what he likes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Andrea, will you tell me a little bit about the book in the last few minutes here? What inspired you to write it? What's some of the feedback you've gotten on it?
Well, the feedback's been really good.
Amazing.
I've gotten some really nice reviews. A couple book clubs are using it now, which is kind of cool. And even like my 30-year-old niece is reading it,
I
and she
love
needs
this.
to. But anyway,
Yeah.
and I felt like it's going to be my only book.
Really?
A long time ago, during my It's Just Lunch days, like in 2000, I wrote a book, but that's very, very, very different, and it's kind of outdated now anyway. But this one, I just felt like I know a lot about this industry. I've done it for 35 years.
Mm,
I know the low end,
mm,
Facebook, where you put no money in and,
right.
it's like a free for all, to these matchmakers that are charging 200,000
Wow.
to find a person, somebody, and
Okay.
everything in between. And plus, I know a lot of the players in the industry too,
Okay.
just because some of them came up through the It's Just Lunch system, and there's some really, really great people out there doing like the higher end matchmaking. But then there's a lot of people out there like dating coaches that, like, 3 years ago I met my wife online and now I'm a dating coach. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no,
Welcome
you're
to the coaching industry. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no. And so I think the book itself really takes you through the whole thing, and I think it's spirited
Mm.
and it's very positive.
Who's the
And
book
people,
for?
excuse me,
Who's the book for?
the book is for, I would say, the 40 to 65-year-old crowd, but
Okay.
the 30 somethings are buying it because I see their reviews and their ages too.
Okay. Oh, amazing.
So, but when you think about second acts, it's generally, somebody, they got married in their
Yeah.
20s and they wake up and they're 45 or 50 and they're
Yeah.
like,
Now what?
now what? I
Yeah.
didn't grow up with all this tech on,
Mm,
and then there's still, they have this fear of privacy, of giving up their
mm,
privacy, like I
right.
mentioned earlier. They're afraid of putting their photos out there.
Yeah.
And you know what? We live in a world where our photos are everywhere.
Everywhere. Right.
Get
Right. Right.
over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Google
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust me. You got no privacy, fellas. So the
Yep.
book is called Second Acts. Where can people find you if they want to work with you? Where can people find the book? And is there any sort of parting message you would like to leave with the audience?
Sure. Okay. So you can find me, the book, and the quiz. Take the quiz at 33000dates.com. So
Gotcha.
33,000dates.com, because
That's
that's,
such a great website. Good for you.
and there you can take, the dating quiz. It'll give you a link to buy the book through Amazon, Barnes and wherever you get your books.
Yeah.
The book's pretty much everywhere.
Okay.
And then my parting message would be, okay, you guys, when you learned to play golf, you didn't just, go out there and start swinging a club, or most people didn't. They took a couple lessons, right? If you're serious about this and you don't want to put a lot of time into it, hire a dating coach, seriously, because it's going to save you so much time and irritation, because you don't want this to ever feel like a full-time or even a part-time job.
Yeah.
And even if you just hire them for a couple sessions to get you on the right road, I think it's worth it, because our time's precious, and
Amen.
love is precious, and you want to find somebody that you really, really like, and over 65% of my clients do.
Thank you for coming on and sharing all this. Thank you for sharing the book. And guys, believe in love, right? We have an ethos tenet, Andrea. It says love fiercely, openly, and without reservation. And I'm
Oh, I
sure
like that.
you're helping people do just that. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Do you want to help support the podcast? I know you do. Perfect. Here's how. Please take 12 seconds, scroll down, slap us with a 5-star review, and share this episode with one person in your life. Think about this. You tip your bartender and he serves you poison. And all I'm doing is pouring soul-stirring truth right into your ears. And if you haven't gotten a chance to grab one of my books, please get a hold of Today I Rise, snag a copy of Man Uncivilized, or get yourself some 28 Days in Darkness. Buy one for yourself, buy one for a friend, and buy one for your ex who's still watching your Instagram stories. I love you. Thank you. Until next time, stay uncivilized.